My guest at the moment is Nicole Valentine. She is the Fintech Director at the Milken Institute. Nicole, thank you so much for giving me a couple of minutes here.
Thank you for being here. It's always great to see you. We were just at Groundbreaking Women and now here, so we're on the circuit.
We are on the circuit. This is actually my first time at Milken. We've had a partnership with the Institute for a couple of years now. It's extraordinary to be here. It's extraordinary to see sort of the global conversation and then all the different verticals that we've been tapping into, whether it's healthcare, whether it's finance or fintech. Maybe just let's start with one of the things that I think is really interesting is the way fintech has evolved globally and the way, in the US we have sort of certain expectations, but the rest of the world is operating very differently, some ways behind the US, but in some ways ahead of the US. And I think that would surprise a lot of US viewers.
Yeah, I mean, when you're making the comparison, I think it's apples and oranges because the U.S. had such a head start in building out its financial infrastructure, its markets. We have, stories of the ATM, the credit card, and now we're all online. But if you go outside the U.S., there's a lot of demographics that their needs haven't been met by the financial ecosystem. There's still 4 billion people in the world who are not financially served. There's 2 billion people that still don't have the internet. There's billions of people that don't have identity or verifiable physical addresses. So you have a lot of development that's still happening and needs to happen, and technology is one of the tools that they're turning on to make sure it happens. So when you see all of that evolution that's happening around the globe, in Africa, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia. These are demographics that have not been online. Their legacy financial institutions have not been serving them. And now technology innovators and founders are coming out and meeting their needs.
So what does that look like? Because in the US, we don't see any of that. We don't know what those technologies are, how they work. Like, what are some examples?
So I spent a little time in Nigeria. I spent a year there actually, and when I stepped onto the soil, obviously you see there's just a new terrain that you have to look at and look and see and make sense of, and the modernization of the technology surpassed my cell phone service in the U.S. So the broadband, the access to the quickness of the wallets that you have access to, your phone is your account. In the U.S., we have social security numbers. That's our unique identifier to identify who you are. Outside of this country, where there aren't social security numbers, your phone is your ID. And so your phone can link you to your bank account, and that's something that is happening across Africa, across India, across Kenya, across lots of different places. And you'll find that there's founders like Tala that have gone out there and they've made these solutions. You have Brazil working with their Pix program, where they've been able to turn your phone into access to a bank account. So it's a very different story. If you have 90% penetration of mobile and you're able to unlock bank accounts for people around the world, you're going to see just a paradigm shift and transformation happening.
It's fascinating to think that the cell phone got to them before a sense of institutional identity that was tied to a government or a bank. It's but they had the technology, and therefore the tech stack enabled that identity to be created.
Absolutely, and there's so much that the phone has done in the world. The issue that people have is you have people that have accounts. Just because you have an account doesn't mean that your account is working for you. So the 4 billion people that don't feel financially served, it's because they're not investing with those accounts. Those accounts aren't growing. So when we're doing our numbers and we're looking at the data, we have to look at, so what's the real impact of having the account, and how do we make these products and services that are needing to pipe into those accounts serve the demographic that now is online.
So the first step is just to enable them to transact.
Absolutely.
But transacting, buying and selling is not investing, and it's also not accumulating the capital that you would want so that it could then be lent out. So that's the next step that needs to happen?
Absolutely, that's the next step. And the head of the World Bank spoke, and he talked about the importance of jobs. Because if you don't have income, then what are we talking about? You want to make sure that when you're looking at the entire ecosystem of economic mobility, technology is absolutely a major piece, but jobs and opportunity is definitely a part that fuels the engine of opportunity.
It always comes back to jobs. I mean, it's the economy's stupid in the US. We've been talking about it. It's the same reason we just turned the last election and changed over the administration. It always comes back to jobs. It has been a universal constant in every country. I feel like at the moment we are in the sort of regulatory structure, it's still the biggest issue. We're pursuing certain policies in the US to sort of shore up our jobs. We could debate whether or not how effective that will be. But the other thing that's threatening jobs in the US and elsewhere is AI. as automation takes over and a lot of jobs become irrelevant, like how do you see AI affecting the job market?
I'm looking at AI as an opportunity. We've seen AI has obviously been with us for decades and decades. We've been using it in machine learning in banks for compliance and for fraud detection. It's definitely been a part of the tech stack. It's reached the hands of all of us now. We all have an access, or many of us have access now to see what it can do for us. So we're on the productivity layer. We're like, how can it make us more productive? And we're going to see it move into agentic, where it can kind of be more of a partner with us, and it can make decisions and learn from us and be our true partners. So I think that, to your point around jobs, it's going to make us better, those who have jobs now, but there's a whole future out here that we can still imagine. There's an opportunity to have AI factories. What does that mean? There's an opportunity to be an entrepreneur and create more wealth and opportunity and productivity with AI. I think we have to think about AI as something that's going to supercharge us and figure out how to take advantage of it. I also think that here at the conference, there's a lot of conversation around sovereign AI. And sovereign AI is how a nation is going to deploy its AI strategy, how an organization is going to deploy their AI strategy. I think people need to step into the fold and say, what's my sovereign AI strategy? How am I going to create something that can learn the way I want to do business and be an asset to me? So I think about thinking about this as an asset versus as a detractor. Obviously, there's always risks. I mean, technology, with all the technology that we still have these huge numbers of gaps. So it's not going to be technology alone that gets there, but if we have better tools, I think that we can find a way to make sure that more people come into the system and they can create jobs and be the owners of their destiny.
I mean, there's a democratizing aspect to it, where the same way the cell phone has given everyone access to the internet across, not everyone, a lot more people access to the internet across the globe. You know, those same people have access to ChatGPT. For a fairly low price, that in itself can be transformative.
I mean, if you think about technology, and we talked about like the generations of technology that we've seen, you know, this is definitely not a world where everyone gets everything all at once. I can travel the world, I can travel the planet, and I can step into an ancient moment, and I can step into a super modern moment. So there's definitely just lots of different experiences you can have on this planet, but with AI as an opportunity, that's the future here right now. And so there are lots of nations, organizations, people thinking about this future and how they can tap into it, and I think that's just an opportunity.
So you're obviously you're an AI optimist. I think you're generally an optimist. Talk to me a little bit about how you see the future of fintech evolving. What is exciting? What do you think is going to come online in the next 5 years, either in the US or globally?
I mean, obviously, I'm excited about AI. I think that is the future. I think there's just an imagination that we all need to bring to it so that it can work for us. I think that technology and humans, we have to negotiate with each other. We have to have a contract with how we want to leverage our tools, and we need to make sure that we govern ourselves accordingly so that it benefits society. So I'm excited about this next wave we're in the early stages. I'm excited about this next wave of what we can do with AI. I'm also just in terms of what we can do to close these numbers, put a dent in the numbers that I just described. I mean, what kind of moment do we have to make sure that the 4 billion people who are financially underserved get served? I mean, I would love to be able to, in the coming 5 to 10 years, change that number. I'd love to be able to say, hey, Dan, I said 4 billion and now it's a much lower number.
I mean, even if it's just an extra billion people who suddenly enter the financial system, that unlocks an extraordinary amount of value.
The on-chain, blockchain world, there's rails that are being developed for a future of Web3, a future of ownership, a future of wealth. And on these rails, there's empty block space right now. That's for us to use our imagination to figure out, how does tokenization, how do we tokenize real world assets? How do we give people opportunity to own real estate or have title to their homes or have an identity? All of those aspects can be brought on chain with the new technology that's being advanced right now.
So you've been doing interviews nonstop. We're in the middle of the conference. You're about to get a little bit of a break. Is there anyone you're looking forward to meeting, anything you're looking forward to talking about?
I'm always excited for this conference. I've been live streaming in between meetings, so I've got a chance to check out Secretary Besant, our CEO. I got a chance to check out different conversations with Fareed Zakaria. I've just been online listening, so I've definitely plugged in and stay plugged in. But I think that I'm looking forward to a session today on AI and the economy. Michael Milken's going to be moderating Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, so I'm excited to hear about that. I mean, there's just, like I said, what's happening in AI, what's happening with chip manufacturing in the U.S., what's happening with, I think America has a reset, and we're all looking at what does this future look like, and I'm glad that we all have a voice and we can be a part of it, and I'm glad that we have a lot of idea and thought leaders here who are part of this next phase of what's happening in the world.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's a theme that's come back around. Obviously, there's lots of different political opinions here, lots of different from people from the right, from the left. Pretty much everybody agrees we are having a reset, whether we like it or not, and we've just got to make the most out of it on both sides.
Absolutely, and I think we all need to bring our values to the table. We bring our values. My values in this organization is about financial inclusion and financial access, and making sure that that's open to all. And I'm going to scream that from the rooftops. And I do not have any opposition when I'm talking to anybody about financial inclusion or access. That is definitely a bipartisan value that I definitely keep passing through the hemisphere.
Great. Nicole, thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes and talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Always great to talk to you, Dan. Thank you so much.
I'm Dan Costa with Worth Media Group. You can find more videos like this on YouTube. I'll see you there.